IVM.
Cred has made paying your credit card bills so much easier, and by just paying your bills on the Cred app, you could win some epic rewards, prizes, cashbacks, and a whole lot more. It's just that simple, so don't miss out, just download Cred.
Hello, welcome to Football Total. My name is Saru. Baru and Yash are on a record-breaking spree of being on the podcast for I think 6 weeks in a row. What's up, guys?
Hip hip hooray!
All good. What's up?
Dude, I'm just so excited. Our dear friend, the only person's house we find acceptable to party in, he's finally decided to grace our podcast again. Harsh, what's up?
What's happening, guys? What's happening? Good to be back.
Because I just realized the last time, we got Harsh once before. And the last time when it got over, he had actually told us, this was fun. We should do this soon. Again, It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years since. There's something still left on my to-do list.
Yeah, but you know why it took so much time? The last time Harsh was on the podcast, I asked him, dude, do you feel bad as a Chelsea fan for something happening? And he said, who really has the time in the world to give a shit, man? I was like, yes, that's the spirit we require. All right. Before we get started on how the biggest match of the weekend was ruined, Baru, Arsenal, again, the Arsenal fans are leading this. They are the first ones to storm the pitch, the stadium, or stand outside the stadium, do something to bring to attention that bad owners can be easily removed with one-day protest, right? So how is that working out?
I don't know, man. Troops is trying to lead it from his living room, and a couple of them were actually around the stadium. But unfortunately, the people who actually work for Arsenal at the stadium, they weren't that, complicit in it as compared to when it comes to Manchester United. So, unke liye to darwaze khol diye. They just opened all the doors. They're like, this way, sir, this way. And when it got done, they said, okay, this is how you go out of here. This is the exit.
Yeah.
Nice. Because the security was just chilling over there. People were at the Emirates. If you're going on a stadium tour and you try, they just do not allow you to enter the pitch. Okay, you can't even step on it, or the groundskeeper gets really pissed. Over here, we had guys sitting on top of the goal, sitting on top of the crossbar, taking selfies, getting hit by footballs and falling down.
Man, so the big news out of Arsenal is that after this protest, the owners got so soft, and they understood the fans' plight, and they asked Vinay Venkatesham to step down from a Premier League position. So you think it's working out well for Arsenal fans?
We had that big match against Newcastle, and you could instantly see the results coming in on the pitch.
Yeah. Before we get to Yash, Harsh, Chelsea fans don't have a problem. We have an owner who is just so good.
So used to autocracy for so long. All of this is just passe. It doesn't matter to us, honestly. We're used to a system where not much is. It's not democratic in any way. So I think it's okay.
Remember that meme, that you guys get paid, Chelsea fans, you get to protest.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what these guys are protesting about. I don't know what's up with them. Isn't life happier when you have an owner who just is rich and making ad hoc decisions?
What are we cutting back to 1942? What is that?
1942. All right. And that leads us to Yash, Old Trafford. Yeah. What were the fans protesting about? We know that. Why were they allowed on the pitch? What were they doing on the pitch? And why is Gary Neville suddenly the Mel Gibson in Braveheart? What is this transformation?
So there could be only two explanations to how they were on the pitch. One is obviously that the stewards and the security guards were with the fans. They were as upset about the proceedings. The second one is just like how the owners replaced Ronaldo with Gabriel Obertan. They have replaced the security agency, which is the equivalent of Ronaldo, with one that of Obertan. So they didn't manage to stop the fans from entering.
Security.
Yeah. I know we don't speak about our lives outside of football, but since I run a security company, if it was my task to keep people out of something that is a fortress-like stadium that is Old Trafford, even though footballing-wise it's not a fortress, I'm sure. In that building, if you let fans inside, then they should really fire those guys.
Man, see, this is where you need a Russian owner.
टेंडर फ्लोट हो रहा है क्या?
The last time we had an spectator invade onto Stanford Bridge, his name was Alexei Navalny, and you know what happened? He's been tried to kill twice, right? But the crux of the matter is fans are protesting because they have suddenly realized that Glazers are taking all the money. What are they protesting?
So, but there's a lot of things to protest about. But Manchester United fans have known that Glazers have been taking money for more than a decade. It's just, one of the key comments that was made by a commentator, that was by Graham Souness, who said United fans are protesting because the team's not winning on the pitch. So my reaction was like, well, duh. I mean, as someone who's not a Mancunian sitting far away, I would have been happy if Glazers or whoever else owned the club so long as they were winning. But it's just, I feel it's just the decisions that they make are so dreadful that, I mean, they don't understand the game, man. I mean, a simple thing, Saru, when LVG was coach, United were out of the Champions League. That's the time when they signed 6 players. The subsequent season, when we made it to the Champions League, we signed 6 players and sold 12. So essentially, we added we were in a new competition, but we reduced the
number
score.
of. Yeah.
And so there are certain tap-ins, man. I feel, there's an old saying, to make money, you have to spend money, but the Glazers behave like that neighborhood uncle who always has a guy who gives you cheap knockoffs. They're saving money on buying these knockoff items, which are going to last for a couple of years when you can buy the real deal and use it for 10.
But so I don't understand. So if now Ed Woodward is gone, right? So shouldn't the fans be happier?
What was Woodward? I mean, he's clearly the scapegoat, right? Now,
dude, his house was attacked. I mean, I have never seen fans attack scapegoat's house so much as Woodward's house has been attacked.
Yeah, that's because they can't go all the way to Florida and try to attack the Glazers' house. The gun laws are lax over there. I'm sure the security guards over there won't be these bobbies that they found at Old Trafford. Those guys will have assault rifles.
Old Trafford bobbies. Harsh, talking about Glazers taking money, what is a leveraged buyout?
I gave a TED talk on this earlier today.
Yes, but
it was as useful as all the other TED talks.
No, but I mean, see, look, there are two things, right? They bought the club, I think, in 2005 or 6, one of that year, and then obviously 2008 happened. They had to refinance the debt. But the major problem of them it's like they've taken only 120 or 130 million, I think, from the club. It's the debt servicing which has caused a bigger problem. So a leveraged buyout is what?
A leveraged buyout is basically when you're trying to acquire a club or an asset and you basically part fund it via debt. That debt is then loaded onto the operating company's balance sheet, which is also serviced through the cash flows of the balance sheet of that company, which in this case, United's cash flows from its regular operations would be servicing the huge amount of debt that the Glazers have taken for something like that.
Cool. The next question is that given that it's the business of football where fans are very passionate, is it advisable for any owner to ever do a leveraged buyout of a big club and then get fucked by his own fans?
This is the conversation that I never want to get into because, of course, there's a whole financial angle to it. But then there's obviously the moment you start getting fabric of football and all of that into it, it becomes. I mean, then all of this goes out of the window, right? I mean, do you really want private equity firms coming owning clubs and just extracting capital out of it? Is that the model that's going to be?
No. If you heard our podcast 2 weeks ago, you would know that everyone says no here.
Exactly. So the moment that is no, then I'm trying to understand the prudence of doing a leverage buyout and servicing debt. All of that just goes out of the window, right? So then I'm also going to stay on this side of it.
But you said it's going to be serviced by the operating cash flows of the company, right?
Yeah.
Or the club in this case. And the regular business of United right now is just branding, right? Licensing and brands. I mean, that's all they get done nowadays, right?
Correct. So I think people look at it on a relative scale. Say something like, okay, I'm going to digress just for a minute. Say something like the tech industry, say the TMT industry, which is a high cash flow generating business. Leverage buyouts are common throughout the board. which is why on a relative scale, nobody really complains. But I guess when you compare it against football clubs, and if you do the financial benchmarking of like 100 football clubs, United might be one of the few who have had such a large one, which means that United is one of the few who have had leakages of their cash flows to service debt, which is when it comes into the spotlight. As a product, obviously LBOs are not uncommon, but LBOs for a football club and at the stature of United, and then crippling what it can do and how it can grow forward. I guess that's when it really comes into the focus, right?
Yeah.
But Harsh, is it common for whoever the owners end up in this scenario to take dividend out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean,
why is it not common? If you're a profit-making entity, it's up to the owners to take the dividend out, right?
I mean, not just that. In fact, I'll go one step forward. I'm not talking even about accumulated profits. In fact, on the day a transaction is done, whatever cash is actually in the company is actually eligible to be entirely dividend back to the owners or to the existing owners before it's actually sold, or you adjust the purchase price that way. So again, you have to, when you're looking at this absolutely from a financial perspective, it's done. It's probably revolutionary, people would call it. In fact, what has been done in United, and again, you've got to look at it from one industry and not compare it with others.
Yes, I think that's what it comes down to, right? These people bought United. They clearly know what they're doing in terms of trying to do branding, marketing, and also like get stuff. It's just that their football expenditure through that Swiss Ramble thread we read today, it's not like United have not spent money. They spent just $1.3 billion in a very bad way. And they sold only 291 million. So it's not that they haven't spent money. It's just that there's such bad footballing decisions being made.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem here is that their other team, Tampa Bay, which they owned before, is in a closed league, which operates completely differently in America, where essentially it's socialism for the rich, where even if you're a bad team, the league sort of takes care of you, gives the first pick in the draft and things like that. And there are this concept called championship cycles. Now, if you're a great team like Lakers, your championship cycle is small. Once in 5 years, you try to rebuild your team. But Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl in 2002 and again 2020. So these guys don't really care that much. They spent a lot of money in 2007 in transfers, and United won the Champions League. So, and given the fact that there are these big events in America, they might think of the Champions League final as a Super Bowl and don't really understand what's the difference between finishing first and second in the Premier League. Also, then the qualification to the Champions League is the qualification to the playoff.
Hence,
maybe that's their understanding.
The top 4 trophy. They should have just hired Arsene Wenger.
Precisely. So these decisions are wrong. And I mean, as you said, branding is a big deal, right? Now, a lot of United fans get called glory hunters. That's because United had a huge success in the early 2000s. They had Beckham, etc. Now, if their on-pitch performance is bad, then their brand is going to suffer, and that is something the fans obviously see.
Yes, their new shirt deal, the value is lesser than the Chevy one.
Yes. So what United fans are pissed off is obviously about. It is in their Glazers' long-term interest to make sure that the brand remains quite. Up there with the Real Madrids and Barças, but they are not. They're behaving like a very. What can you say? They're very short-term. Very. What's the I thing here?
I don't know what I think you're talking about. Yes, myopic. Okay. Yeah. Wow. But yes, there's always a silver lining to this, and the silver lining is that Baru's club, Arsenal, will be subject to a leveraged buyout by a guy who puts music in a playlist form along with Thierry Henry. Right? So we'll soon have a worse LBO in terms of like Spotify, Henry, and so this ragtag bunch doing it. Baru, are you going to protest that? He doesn't have the oil money. You should.
No, wait. I don't think this is, it's going to be a problem from footballing terms. The same algorithm that defines what song you currently like and what song you might like next. It's going to be used to find the next fan favorite who's going to sell more jerseys than the current one. So, it's going to be something like, do you like Santi Cazorla? You may also like XYZ and all of these things. Your next transfer window is going to be sorted. And the difference over here, I think, from another point of view is that this guy seems to be a little more interested in the football side of things, and as a fan, you'd rather go down with the club than
Arey bhai,
just
everyone is
take,
interested in football
continue
till you have to
to
start.
the task.
Everyone is interested in football till you have to start paying 20, 30 million in interest payments. Then football is gone for a toss.
Thank God it's Spotify and not Apple Music. They would jump from Santi Cazorla to Nicholas Bentner.
Some Armenian alt metal band who's
Yeah.
been asked to play football.
What Serge Tankin?
Mkhitaryan played for this club. Fuck off.
All right. So we could not watch this bloody Manchester United versus Liverpool, the boring match that it was going to be, and the pitch was invaded by these damn fans. And I think there has to be punishment. So Harsh, how many points would you like Manchester United to be docked for this transgression?
Just enough to get them below Chelsea.
What? Europa Conference League? Not even Europa League.
Just enough to get them below Chelsea. I don't know, man. I mean,
You can say any number. Cambodians really don't care for accuracy. At this point, we figured.
Hi, Cambodia. 9 points. 9 points from me.
That's it. Damn it.
Yeah.
Baru, how many points should Arsenal be dogged? Not Arsenal. Sorry, Manchester United.
Arsenal 15 points.
I don't even know the math anymore, man. I mean, as long as jitna bhi nikalo, we'll still find a way to finish below them.
All right. Yes, if Manchester United are docked 21 points and they finish 10th, you think the fans will be happy with no Champions League football next year?
Yeah, because this was an attempt to hit the Glazers where it hurts, right? So since the match didn't happen, Glazers did not get whatever the facility payments from the Premier League. Now, if they don't have Champions League money as well, I mean, what's one more season with Glazers, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, but always you don't know who the next owner is going to be. If it is if it is like someone like Gautam Adani, what would you do? वो pipeline डालेगा through Old Trafford.
But I appreciate
he
this.
can't be that bad.
I appreciate the sentiment, though. I think United fans have taken this to heart, this whole situation. I mean, honestly, I like it.
Oh, Harsh, by the way, I've also read that Gary Neville is spearheading a cabal of pundits across TV channels who is now going to
Premier League.
Yeah, who is going to be against this ESL and whatever. So he's assembled his gang, right? So, and there's no Chelsea person in the gang, no Chelsea pundits and all. It's all this bloody United, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
But for that, you need legends. Now your legends are coaches, Lampard and Terry. Who's there?
Why Zola? Zola will get.
Even he's a coach, right?
Yeah.
All Chelsea guys, see, they're like hardworking Russians. Yeah. They know the value of work.
They're not allowed to have opinions. What opinions will they get?
Yes. So we'll take a break right now. After the break, we will talk about one coach who has a lot of opinions and he found a job again this year. So let's talk about Jose Mourinho after the break. Stay tuned to Football Twaddle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Cied, TheWholeTruthFoods.com, and PayPal. We really appreciate your support. So this week on Cyrus Says, Cyrus had some interesting guests. Gayo Zirani was on to talk about his new Netflix film, and Mayur Tekchandani has made a new coffee table book about the city of Mumbai, which he came to discuss on the show. On the Wire Talk, Siddharth Bhatia was joined by Dr. Ali Khan Mahmoodabad to talk about the Muslim community's issues during these thorny times. On The Habit Coach, Ashton Doctor is joined by Sonia Jaz to talk about the importance of fitness and why this is a great time to begin a journey to good health. The Simplified Gang has reunited and they discuss the hue and cry around the European Super League that was eventually just dropped after 2 days. On Shunya One, Shilith and I are talking to Gurubat from PayPal India. We talk about fintech, the future of digital payments, and a whole lot more. Really, really deep and interesting conversation about PayPal, its plans in India, and what kind of hiring they're looking to do. On The Millennial Athlete, Tanvi and Shlok were joined by sport and performance psychologist Dr. Shri Advani to talk about mental health for young sports stars. And I just want to again mention some of our cricket shows. You should definitely check out Edges and Sledges. And we also have a Hindi show called Khel Niti. Do check that out as well. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
All right. Welcome back to Football Twaddle. Harsh, yes, and Baru here. Yash,
Yeah.
my man, Jose, he's
Yeah,
done
yeah.
it again. He's got a job. Like the day he was fired from Tottenham, he told Sky Sports, I don't need a break. I'll come back very soon. Right? And the next day they said Valencia is like hot on Mourinho and he's going to take it. And last from yesterday, it was like Juve and Roma were getting him. And I think the man was sensible enough to take the Roma job. But dude, he found himself a job again, man. He's like, that guy is just a magnet for jobs. Like Allegri is not finding a job for 3 years.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's shocking. But I mean, he's
Dude,
done
just
well at Serie A. Looking at the
before-
game in the middle of the week, I think Roma really needed him.
Why? I thought you loved the way they were attacking
Yeah, it was fun.
Man.
They were playing like such a.
Norwich.
Man, that was a very bad game. That was a very bad game. But then again, if you're forced to make 3 substitutions in the first half, I mean, plan A, B, C, D, E, F, everything was out of the window, right?
Dude, I've seen Roma play enough times. Their plan B is worse than plan A. Just no, let's not go there. Baru, you were trying to crack something cool or say something cool which came into your head.
Yeah, I mean, cooler than Jose Mourinho getting another job. That's not news, man. What is news is that team viewers ratings have reached 1.2 on Trustpilot, and all the comments are garbage company. They're associated with Glazers, shameful spineless company, shocking affiliation with MUFC, garbage. Only human dirtbags associate themselves with Man U.
Oh man, what's going on here?
I use this. Oh, then there's this guy trying to be like all cute about it. He's like, I use this for my work and I find it really poor. The product is unreliable. Would not recommend.
That guy must definitely work for Microsoft. Yes, but Baru, what do you make of the haramipan of Jose Mourinho? Like Inter, Conte struggles for 2 years, gets abused by everyone, somehow takes them over the line yesterday, right? And he's like, yes, finally, I'll get all the praise in Italian newspapers. And Mourinho next day says, oh yeah, by the way, I've just been announced the manager of Roma. So now if you look at Italian papers, no one's talking about Inter. Only Lukaku is going on, wow, like, yay, Inter. No one else gives a shit. So you think it was a deliberate attempt by Mo to like around with Conte's happiness?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not. I think it's all also probably going to be like a hoax or something, dude. Once it all dies down, and they'll be like, oh, by the way, it's Inter is the champions. That's when Mourinho's again going to come out and say, oh, main to mazak kar raha tha. And again he's going to grab all the headlines.
Oh
It's
God.
not going to work out. But what I like about him is at least he got the interview process in place, right? He's got that sorted for himself. Because whether he performs well in the season or not, at least his interview processes get really good ratings from whoever hires him. Like at Tottenham, they said that they were really impressed by his vision and impressed by the fact that he took a break from football to introspect and work out on his footballing philosophies. Maybe even Roma's like, we love his vision. He's cracked the interview.
Dude, I mean, on a very serious note, this has been told of Mourinho even from when he got the Chelsea job, that the man actually is meticulously prepared for every damn interview, and he actually prepares a presentation goals. Clearly, the interview process, as you said, everyone gets impressed. It's just that when he starts pointing out to one defender and says, you right? That's when the problem starts.
I'd
What's
heard,
the defender?
I'd heard
Defender
Unai Emery was also very prepared for his Arsenal interview.
So he greeted the owners really well. So good
Yeah.
evening.
Good evening.
But anyway, not just defender, right? I mean, the fact is that Mourinho finds a player who he wants to target, and then that the poor guy spends like 6 months or 7 months trying to change his look, and by the time he's ready with his new look, Mourinho's already out, and then Dele Alli walks in with like a Rastafarian blocks and shit. He was trying to not show Mourinho who he actually wants, but wo pura kaam waste ho gaya.
Yeah.
But in all
I just like
seriousness, for all the criticism that Mourinho continuously gets, and there's some of us also who absolutely berate him, how does he get top club after top club? How do owners place faith in him like so much? What is the brand? What is the recall value there where he keeps
Dude, he
I mean,
is.
this track record is crazy, right?
But he is like, if you talk about superstar managers in the world, I think we spoke about this some time ago. Who are they? Like, forget the record. Like, who are the big name managers? You have Pep, Klopp, Zidane, Mourinho. Who
I
else?
agree, but none of them have this uh, this negative sort of aura around them where people criticize them so much on a day-to-day basis about style of play, etc., but still continue to get top jobs and get themselves and slide
No,
themselves
I
in
mean,
top
look,
positions.
I think he just stayed in England for too long, and I think it's actually quite good that he's away from here. And next season, and most of us just read the English press, right? So next season when he's not there, and Roma probably will not even be playing Europa League, I think it will just die down. Yeah, I don't think. I think it's about just the press you read,
Fair.
because when he was at Real Madrid, so everyone loved it. Even in the last season when he fought with Sergio Ramos, everyone loved it. Right? So everyone loves everything. It's just that it just generates too much press. And
No, no.
and
For the record, I really like him. For the record, I really like him.
yeah, and
But
I think when he got the Spurs job, there were reports that this probably for the first time in a long time that the manager is bigger than the club. so yeah, I mean, look, that guy's
But I hope
obviously.
it's about time that whoever's handling the contracts on the club's side, they finally figure out that they shouldn't have a really high,
But I
cancellation
don't look.
clause.
I don't think that is true, Baru. It is the standard clause for every manager. If you're fired
Yeah,
mid-season,
for
you will
every
get.
manager, right? For every manager. But
If you're
in his
if you
case, it should be
no,
like a major thing for him now.
but that's what I'm
Fire
saying.
karenge, so that's act of God, bhai.
No, that's then why will he'll be like, okay, pay me more fixed at some
Yeah.
point. That's all. He'll say, okay, pay more fixed. So then Pep will start crying, "Arey, dekho us chutiye ko to 25 million mil raha hai. I'm only getting 16." Ole will be like, I'm getting 3 million. No one's taking me for a job. Also, I'm guiding my club to the second. So yeah. Anyway, Yash, are you happy that Smalling and Pedro and Mkhitaryan are now under the Chhatrachaya of Jose Mourinho?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But Mata. I mean, he got rid of Mata at Chelsea. I think he worked fine with him at United. So I think Mkhitaryan is a decent enough player and a creative enough player to do well.
And Smalling is a willing
I mean,
trier.
yeah, he tries hard. I don't think the league is that challenging against the 15 lower Italian teams. Smalling will be a decent defender.
And what about Pedro, the man, the machine? We invented a
Isn't he
drinking.
just a cheerleader at the club now itself?
I don't know, dude. He was. Why Pedro is the question I ask a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll get your answer once Mourinho goes to Roma.
Oh yeah, I have already started following Roma social media accounts. I am like completely on board with this project, and I think the man should take a chill pill and become a little more like Ancelotti. Like, you know what? Okay, fine, win, lose, I don't give a types. I think he's just too obsessed. Like, I'm so great, I need to only win. Let's forget all that. And when Inter are about to win the Serie A next season, he should just destroy those plans. That's all his job should be. Anyway, let's move to something called Player of the Week. Since Harsh saw some football over the weekend, Harsh, which player impressed you the most?
What?
I said you
How to
saw
start?
some.
How to start tracking the matches? What all games happened? I think I saw most of them.
Yeah. So while Harsh is thinking, Yash, who is your Player of the Week?
That kid who scored the bicycle kick at Old Trafford.
अबे नाम बता दे. The kid who scored the
I don't know. He was a pitch invader, dude.
Was he not arrested?
No.
Why?
Even if he was arrested, do you think I have access to Manchester police records to know who it was?
No, but on social media, someone would have said, "No, look at this, Phil."
ये तो
Phil
मेरे
is
चाचे का लड़का है.
exactly someone like that.
No idea.
Okay,
That's one way to get arrested.
a random kid who scored a bicycle kick on Old Trafford pitch. That is option number one. Baru, do you have something which tops that?
Well, we had Joe Willock sitting on the bench, looking all cool and shit. So I'm leaning towards him, but I'd rather go for Antonio, who had a pretty solid game against Burnley. We thought it was going to be another one of those games with Chris getting 20 points, but Anthony could have had a hat-trick actually. He was getting into really good positions throughout the match. It's a pity Lingard didn't do anything, otherwise I would have won my tie in FPL.
All right. Harsh, have you decided your player?
Gareth Bale, man.
Of course, for showing the already relegated team what a player can do when he runs without a defense.
Gareth Bale, I was going to pick either Gareth Bale or Kai Havertz. I think I'll go with the safer bet.
I'm going to pick Kai Havertz. The man, he's coming to life, to some form. And oh wait, yes, did you actually listen? There was some commentator who actually spoke about Timo Werner and Thomas Tuchel. He said Werner is lucky that he has a German coach managing right now, and that is why he's getting all his chances. If Tammy had an English coach managing, he would definitely get all those chances around. So Tammy is unlucky that Chelsea are being managed by a German coach. I don't remember who said this, but this was their point. So yeah, English are crazy. All right, guys, we have like 2 minutes. What are the matches you guys are going to look or watch this weekend? I would suggest don't pick a Manchester home game because that would probably be postponed.
I don't. I mean, I trust United fans to reach Villa also. So,
so you're going to. Nobody's picking that.
Leeds Tottenham, man. Leeds Tottenham is going to be a good picture.
Oh, that'll be so good. Will Bielsa fall into the Gareth Bale trap? What's your prediction for the score, Harsh?
I am hoping for a 3-2 Leeds victory.
I don't know why, but whatever. That sounds exciting now. Now that
I know.
out there, I was like, whatever. I hope Patrick Bamford destroys them. Yash, what match are you looking to?
I'm looking at Atleti Barca.
Oh yes.
That
How
could
can
be
I?
the title decided.
That is because the same weekend I'm going to go with Real Madrid Sevilla because you chose Atleti Barca. And Real Madrid plays Sevilla. I hope Sevilla beat Real and Atleti beat Barca. And yes, that'll be a grand. This is the best weekend for La Liga, actually. Fuck the Premier League. Baru, are you going to watch the Premier League after our motivation?
Arsenal, West Brom, obviously.
It's Super Sunday at Wolves versus Brighton.
The XG Kings.
Guys, the XG calculations are going to go through the roof in this match, so it's something that all of us should definitely bear witness to.
Yes, and we'll call her.
The XG game, which was Brighton versus Leeds, didn't turn out too well for Leeds.
But there was a lot of XG. There was a lot of XG in that game. And what we'll do is we'll watch the XG game and call Harsh next week to explain how leveraged buyout correlates with the XG coefficient of a club.
I'll run the math.
Yes. All right. That's it. We're done for this week. During these turbulent times, I find solace in doing this podcast. So thanks a lot, everyone. Baru, Yash, and Harsh.
Thanks,
see you guys next week at Harsh's place.
Stay home, stay safe.
You do short.
Yes. All right. Okay. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Working Monday to Friday glued to your chair making you feel dull? Worry not. Get your 5-minute weekly dose of travel around the world with Postcards from Nowhere. Join me every Thursday as I explore the strange, obscure, and fascinating parts of the world and bring out facets of travel you may not have thought of before. You can find us on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.
2020 is a difficult year. A global pandemic, protests, elections, recessions. You get the picture. What we need is a space where we can have nuanced discussions about global affairs and foreign policy. That's where I come in. My name is Hamsini Hariharan and I host the States of Anarchy podcast. Every second Tuesday, I speak to experts in the field of international relations to make a little more sense of the world. So join me on the IVM podcast app, website, or wherever you're listening to me right now.